All right. Well, hey, Bryan, I really do appreciate you coming by to hang out with us for a little bit here. I love having good conversations with other business owners. Like one of the big things we try to do here is let people spend just a little bit of time with another smart business owner and leave with a little nugget of wisdom. We will get into that point soon, but before, I just want to take a second on your side and tell us about who you are, what you do, and how you fell into it.
Well, first of all, you said smart business owner. I don't know if I'm quite, I'm still figuring it out.
We'll go with a humble business owner.
Yeah. So I'm Bryan Kohn. My knife shop is Kohn Knives. Kohn is spelled Kohn. So go check that out. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I put out a YouTube video every 2 weeks or so, and I slacked a little bit on the last little couple weeks just because I've had some family things come up, but my goal is to have a YouTube video every other week. But yeah, I've been making knives since 2017. Quick math, wow, that's been a minute. Summer 2017, was that 9 years ago? That's crazy. And I've been full-time for just a little over 5 years. And yeah, it's been a crazy roller coaster of trying to figure things out, doing things wrong, and then figuring out why that's wrong and correcting that. So yeah, what you got for me? What's your questions?
That's awesome. I think a lot of business owners learn that way. Trial by fire, like, oh, I broke this. Why did it break? Let's go back. As long as you only make those mistakes once or twice, it's
right.
Progress.
Right? Oh, that's me 100%. And that's kind of how I learned how to make knives is, YouTube University, and which is a big reason why I love doing the YouTube channel, to go from being the guy who's learning off of YouTube and being entertained by knife makers on YouTube to now putting that content out there and having the fans and the people who follow me support my work. I'm right now, you can almost see it. I've got goosebumps even just talking about it.
You're giving right back to the community that gave to you. It feels good.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, man, let's dovetail right into that where, growing a business, breaking things, fixing them. What is an obstacle or hurdle, however you want to mentally jump into that you have already overcame? Like, how did it come up into your business and what did you do to get past it?
Sure. There's been many hurdles, of course. A couple, and it's kind of one that I'm about to do again. So when I first got into knife making, I was working out of a 6 foot by roughly 12 foot little mini shed. And that was kind of my workshop. And after working in that for a couple years, we ended up moving into this house and into a garage that is a kind of a 1.5 car garage. So it's 20 foot by 22 feet. And basically, running 220 out to the shop, getting that all wired up, setting it up for success, trying to figure out what the most ergonomic and the best efficient layout for that workshop so that I could, very quickly get into that shop and, expand my business and work very well. And I'm actually just about to do that whole thing again, because here in about a month or so, we're going to be moving again. And that place does not have a shop. So I'll be building a shop, and I'm going from, like I said, 20 by 22 to roughly 20 by 40. So I'm almost doubling my shop space. And so basically, that hurdle being currently have orders, and I'm always about 20 people on my books, if not more. So I need to make this big move without having a big hiccup in my output. So one of the biggest things, and one of the things that I go to with all of my issues or something that has come up that I need advice on, is the Work For It podcast. I am a co-host on the Work For It podcast with Brian House and Pickle Cutters. You just interviewed Pickle Cutters, so go check out that show if you haven't already. Go back, listen to it.
Nick is awesome.
Yeah, Nick Tobin's awesome dude. So I jumped on that podcast a couple years ago, and I've been a co-host ever since. And basically, it's the Work For It podcast hive mind. Whenever I have an issue, I bring it up and I talk about it on the podcast. And man, we have so many listeners and people who support us through that podcast that, once I talk about it and I say, hey, I have this issue, I've got at least 50 people in the messages calling me, reaching out to me in different ways to then give me their 2 cents and how they would fix it. Or, a lot of times, like I couldn't run the 220 by myself. I've never done electrical work. And one of the viewers ended up driving up here, and he is a good buddy of mine also. But he heard on the podcast, and he actually drove up here from Toledo, which is like a 4-hour drive from here, and helped me
That's
run that
awesome.
line. So yeah.
Whew. He could have potentially saved your life because electrical stuff
Oh yeah.
could be that gets hairy fast.
Honestly, I probably wouldn't have done it without his work. So Jeremy from 419 Forging, he's a good dude. Very good dude.
That's awesome, man. Well, yeah, I mean, trying to do two things at once essentially there, where you keep your book of business moving forward because you don't want to have those delays. No one does. But
Right.
also moving, building, figuring out, like you said, the feng shui or the setup, the layout of this new thing here. I mean, and do you just sleep less? Do you do more? I mean, there's so many options out there. I mean,
I've played that game so much, man. And
you can only burn the candle so much.
you end up working, 16 or 12 to 14, and sometimes during the Christmas rush even more hours of the day, and you're
Yeah.
just burning the candle at both ends, and your sleep lacks, your home life lacks, and any sort of comfort is gone. But that's part of the trade-off when you run your own business, and you get to do what you love for a living, like I do. It's an absolute blessing. It's something that I could have never imagined. And yeah, it's sometimes you just have to work for it. And hey, you just got to do what you got to do, man, and get things done.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, everyone knows that if you've been in business for a minute, that things come in seasons. So
Oh,
if
for
like
sure.
you're going to go into a crazy busy season, get through it, and things will level out. The level now might be here, but afterwards it might be here. But still, it'll feel better. You'll flow better. But I think it always comes just down to optimizing your time.
Yo,
And
yeah.
that's something that we talked about earlier on, where like as business owners, we wake up like a chicken with our head cut off sometimes. And you can't do that. You have to be able to have enough sense to step back and say, there's problems today, but there'll be problems tomorrow. How do I make sure that we have systems in place where I can do certain things at certain times to handle those fires? I mean, like that's, before I do the same thing with my business. Before I end my day, I look at tomorrow and say, hey, what are the top 5 things I need to accomplish tomorrow? That
Yes.
way, tomorrow morning when I wake up and there'll be a fire on my desk, I'll say, okay, cool. Hold on a second. Where did I put this in my priority list for today? Because if you don't do those little things there, you can spend every day putting out fires and no real work gets done.
Yep.
So that's a really easy thing to say on a podcast, but it's a really hard thing to do.
Yeah, I
So
actually have a notebook where while I'm eating breakfast, I jot down a list of, top thing I need to get done, next thing. I normally limit it between 5 and 10 things. And
yes.
I basically just jot down, okay, so today I'm going to be forging on this. And in the downtime between heats, I'm going to be doing this. And after I get done with this, I'm going to do this type of a thing. And like you said,
Yeah.
sometimes, something comes up and you just have to roll with the punches.
Yeah. I think anything more than 5 or 6 is dreaming. But
Oh,
hey,
yeah. I mean, 10 really gets to when I'm doing like small tasks,
yeah. Yeah. Make this post or do this one little thing. Sure. That makes sense.
Sure.
All right. So the fun question I'd like to ask at the end here is if you owned a DeLorean and went back in time to when you first started, we first said, hey, I'm going to make this a legitimate business.
Mm-hmm.
When scooted back to that Bryan, what's one piece of advice you would kind of whisper in his ear?
I'm going to take this in 2 separate ways. So,
Fire
number
away.
one, in the 2 ways, it's going to be advice I would give myself. And the other way is, what I would invest in the knife shop first.
Okay.
And I'm going to tackle that second one first, just because a lot of times when people are getting into knife making, it is really difficult because there's a couple key pieces of equipment that you need to invest in, and knowing which one to put your dollars in first. Number one, of course, is a 2x72, and I worked for a long time without a proper heat treat kiln. And basically what I would be doing is I would be heat treating out of my forge, and that can be really sketchy just because if it gets too hot and you quench too hot or not hot enough, there's a lot of warping issues that happen when you're trying to get by with that.
Okay.
So I would have invested in my even heat kiln a lot earlier, because that opens up stainless steel, and it just also takes away a lot of warping issues and other issues that comes with heat treating out of a forge. So that is I would have bought that even heat a lot sooner. On the other side, in basically advice that I would give myself, I really think that going legitimate and not just, doing things kind of out of pocket. I played those games for quite a long time, not getting a proper tax number, basically not registering my business. I wish I would have done that a lot sooner. Yes, you have to pay your taxes, but then when tax season comes around, the write-offs and all of those things would have helped me invest in better equipment, because then I know that I could then write that off at the end of the year. Yeah, go legitimate early. Because man, I could have gotten in a lot of trouble, and being able to invest and do all of those things that you just can't do otherwise when you're not legitimate with the state.
Oh, sure. I mean, that allows you to grow and scale faster.
Yeah.
And because I've owned a few businesses too. I did the same sort of thing where I was like, let's see how far I can push it before I have to, because I had the same mentality of like not wanting to pay the man.
Right.
But like you said, at the end of the day, like when you learn what you can write off, if you're doing a fun business like you are, you can do some pretty good things and say, hey, like you can take that business 2 or 3 years ahead, way faster.
Well, for
By
sure.
investing in the right equipment and spaces and education and things like that. So it's not the answer I expected, which is great. That's something that people need to go back, hit rewind, listen to that again.
Sure.
Because that one piece there will save them years of growth. Because I mean, even if you are getting to the knife making space and it's been 5 years, wouldn't you rather be 8 years into the game?
Right. And also, luckily, I've never had to pull like a business loan, but that is another thing that you can do once you've become legitimate and you have that tax number and you have all the paperwork. Luckily, and this is kind of a joke in the knife making world, is, do you know how you become a successful knife maker? By having a wife with a real job. So luckily I am in that, very good spot where my wife basically earns enough to keep the roof over her head, and allows me for the last, oh my gosh, 8 years, every single dollar that I make knife making, I've been able to take that money and reinvest it and allow myself to grow. So A, that has been really nice, and B, not having to worry about business loans or anything like that. Where if you're not in that space, if you're not lucky enough to be in the position that I'm in there, you're able to take a business loan, and, yes, you're gambling with that because you have to be successful, but it's an opportunity for you.
And if you're a small business owner, you're gambling every day anyway. So it should be, man. Well, Bryan, this has been super helpful. I'm probably going to go back and listen to this a little bit more too.
Sure.
It's just been some insightful stuff, but I really appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day. I'm sure you got 7 or 8 things left on your list of to-dos for today.
Sure.
So I'll let you get back to it, man.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. And for the listeners, please go and check out Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of the places that you are on social media. B.Kohn Knives, as you spell knives. Look me up, check me out. My custom books are currently open, and the website is bcownknives.com. There's links on that on every social media. You can find links to that, and down in the description down below. I do have a bunch of knives available, so go ahead and support me. Look into my work. If you feel like you want to support my work and get an awesome knife, I would love your support. Thank you, guys.
Let's do it. Take care, man. Thank you.
See you, man.